The plan to build an enormous railway gun was not during World War I. The Germans used several railways, including the infamous Paris gun, but was marked of the Herr Gustav and the Heavy Gustav. Enormous decisions, and even far excessive than anything we've seen before in the German High Command have asked. The armament firm from Cook designed the gun that could be used to knock out forts on the Maginot Line in France in an event of another war. The probability of the gun remained in range of the French artillery Krupp came the balance of 80 kilometers and 30 kilometers. The Bismarck, Germany's future largest battleship, mounted its 38 centimeters caliber or 15-inch heavy Gustav guns. That's almost twice the largest gun ever. It is 32.5 meters long, and in the 1930s into the 1940s, Krupp designers and engineers have worked the functionality of this enormous caliber, first test fired on 10th of September 1941, the series of further 7-ton penetration of the massacre of 23 miles. The Krupp mounted a specially designed chassis support the body of two parallel railway guns. It was free, but the Krupp was charged of the German 7 million Reichsmark, about $30 million. About the Dora special unit, informed of the guns of heavy artillery units. Of the 6s and 7s, Gustav had been sent of the front, and the siege of Sebastopol of the city of the forts. The gun had been used to reduce to rubble. In the getting the heavy Gustav, win and process the first engineers to build a special railway gun of 16 kilometers or 10 miles north of the Tiger. At the end of the German constructed for the particularly task, the Gustav line could traverse and aim for Soviet forts. They turned further tracks into laying a crash. They need to assemble the gun with heavy Gustav and arrive in early 1942. The train, with 25 carriages stretching 1/2 of a kilometer, was almost a mile long in length. Assembling and kept moving the gun took 4,000 Germans in 5 weeks to complete. The gun crew consists of 500 men of the 5th of June, 1942. Heavy Gustav fired and are capable of firing on the armor-piercing shell or more than 5 tons of explosive. Shells every 45 minutes. Combat never reached of the fire length. The heavy Gustav targeted forts of ammunition, causing the sensitive damage of Sebastopol, ruining the German artillery. And all calibers have plunged in the city with 30,000 tons of munition, among 48 rounds being fired by heavy Gustav. 336 rounds of explosive was worn to impress, and the June heavy Gustav targeted the ammunition mountain of the undersea of Sebastopol in the northern bay of the store, actually 13 meters underwater, and had 10 meters of concrete protecting. But still yet, the 97-ton armor-piercing shell heavy Gustav obliterated the magazine, also sank a Soviet warship and the giant gun battery, a massive fortress of the heavy Gustav of 1943. The Gustav was damaging its sister, Gory II. They have been loading. But the heavy Gustav needed work of the gun barrel to be replaced. Next of the heavy Gustav was Leningrad, the mouth of Petersburg, also under siege with a fully mounted gun. The proposal attack was cancelled by the heavy Gustav, placed in storage in winter. His sister gun, Dora, was deployed close to Stalingrad, but withdrawn to avoid of Soviet encirclement in the city. Neither the gun and any further actions were largely unsolved. and the mystery of obvious targets of enemy fighters in the Gustav was blown up to prevent the U.S. Army of the 14th of April 1945 to capture it. The heavy Gustav, discovered 50 kilometers or 30 miles below length of the forest area of the Red Army, controlled the heavy Gustav remains. The Soviets studied the heavy Gustav. All the guns and the barrel of the history of the door was blown up on April 1945 and was left scrapped in 1950 in the West Germany, but not quite the end of the story. The German even crammed more terrified vision for all of the heavy Gustav. Large Gustav was planned to set the gun, which actually was smaller in caliber, 52 centimeters or 20 inches, but in the Calais of France of London, instead firing normal shells longer than the Gustav's range of rocket projectile of 680 kilograms. The innocent maids of the Gustav, such as a weapon to destroy the UK suburbs and London. Earlier Brits rained down high explosive bombs, but the Germans used high explosive shells. This is the world's largest, biggest artillery gun, heavy Gustav.